Godspeed. My favorite body styles. This is a 72 Torino. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. This part of the Torino is a 1973. We have a 72 front clip on it and a 72 GT hood on it. Well, despite the fact that I do know that this engine does run, we've since stolen the carburetor off of it, and it still needs like a radiator and a tranny cooler and power steering pump and that sort of thing. But I know this engine runs because we ran it one time when we first got it, just hanging off the chain of a tractor.
This is our redneck run stand.
We're just going to button up a couple other things and we're going to make this little car run. There are some other issues with it, but they're not getting solved this time. We're just going to have some fun with this little car. At least the cats seem to think this is a pretty good place to stay. Even husky dogs like Torinos. One thing that makes the Torino such a cool body style is the fastback. This was only available in 1972 and 1973, but it makes the car so much better looking than the notchback. I mean, this just looks like speed happening right here. And even though they weren't the best performers at NASCAR and whatnot, they're still a great looking car. Packed way in there is an old Ford from the 80s that has a 351 Windsor, an AOD, and a couple other goodies, but most importantly right now, it has a power steering pump that I need. And we're going to whip that off and throw it on that Torino, and probably the radiator and the fan and whatnot too. You can see there that has a pretty red look to it, that fluid that came out of the power steering pump. That's likely ATF. So these two were pretty big help. This Ranchero and this T-Bird are pretty much the same car mechanically as that Torino. So I was able to use those to determine which side was the high pressure and the low pressure side of the steering system. And that was a big help. So sometimes it does help to have more than one of the same kind of car. Well guys, I can tell you one thing for certain. When they built this car and that power steering pump back in the day, they were not very inclusive or very diverse. Look at this weirdness. I've got on the car end a female thread. I've got on the pump end a female thread. They're not working together. What's wrong with it? The two female threads obviously aren't going to connect up like that. So maybe this female thread just needs to identify as a male thread. That seems to be a modern trend. So hey, how about it? Would you like to be a male thread today? No? Well, I guess that's not going to work. Maybe that would work if this was a transmission line, but hey, this is a power steering line. It's not going to fly like that. We're going to have to try and maybe get that blue car's line to work. Just for reference of how far stretched this line is, you can see we're just about at the ends on each end with the old line, and the new line is just a straight line right between the two like that. I need a cooling system, and can you guess what we're going to steal that rad out of? Yep. Just got one last fastener over here. Got these two clamps on the top that hold these in, and you just pop them off like so. And that's all that holds the radiator in. And now you just pull it off like so. And there we go. Well guys, after putting a little bit of water in that radiator, I determined that it did indeed leak. So there's a little crack up at the top corner of the radiator, and first I tried to solder that up to try and seal it up, and after that didn't work with both propane and acetylene attempts, I ended up using the old coil it up method, where you just take your needle nose pliers and literally coil up the two ends of the core there. And that did work. It so far has not leaked. However, I will say that because of the very close proximity to the end of the core that we had, I'm going to say that this radiator is not going to hold any pressure whatsoever once we get any temperature, but it'll be entertaining either way. Well, I'm missing a rad hose, so it looks like I'm stealing the top rad hose off of my cool old Capri. I'm trying to strain out old antifreeze. I take a rag that's set on the end of the funnel like so, and drop it right into the top of the container you're going to put the antifreeze in, and then simply take your dirty antifreeze and pour it in the top like that. And like that, with a little bit of time, we've got ourselves a nice clean jug of antifreeze. Now you could filter this again, but this looks pretty clean to me, so I'm just going to dump her in now. Hey, if you're enjoying this content, please
Please like, subscribe, and comment, and share it with your friends. That helps the channel out greatly.
So, with the radiator, power steering, and whatnot hooked up, the last few things we need is we need a throttle linkage, which we're going to steal off that blue car as well. Holy smokes, that was a lot of work to get that out. On this end, you have 2 bolts that are right up against the firewall, a couple of like 5/16 I think those were, and I thought that was all I was holding them on, but no, you have this clip on the end on the inside of the firewall, so we got that out too. Well, till next time, old Ford, you're donating parts to a much more worthy cause, and I guess till next time, at which point I will be stealing your engine and transmission. And we're also going to steal a carburetor off that old 4x4 of mine. I know it's pretty bad to steal a carburetor off a truck, but it's only 4 bolts like that and a few lines and a piece of linkage or two, so with all that, you just get your carburetor off and you can swap it back onto any other truck any other time you feel like. This is kind of the communal carburetor. It moves around from truck to truck to car to truck. What we're going to do here is we're just going to fire this up to see which end the tranny cooler comes out pumping. Go. Well, I've got my radiator and my tranny cooler all hooked up. I put some wheels on it here, and as much as I would have loved to put on my cool old school Krager, this has the slotted style. It's a universal style rim, so you need some shims to work on this, and I didn't have any, so unfortunately no Kragers for the old Torino today. However, these Magnum 500s that I found, they're a pretty close second, so we'll use those and that should do just fine. Alright, this should be the first drive with this Torino. Well, it turned out that Magnum 500 didn't have much of a fight left in it, so we ended up having to replace it. And it turned out that Magnum 500 didn't fit on the front of the car either. The front end, it just didn't clear the brakes quite right, so that little 14 had to go off the front as well.
Take 10.
With the front tire locked up, it was just like having a line lock so you could do better burnouts, and amazingly enough, we were able to do burnouts and make smoke on dirt. But finally, with the help of some ugly old Crown Victoria wheels, we finally got that old Torino to drive.
There she goes. There it goes, man.
So this car, it's had a bit of a transmission issue as of late. When we first fired it up, it moved in both reverse and first, but now every gear is driving. Park, it tries to move forward, reverse, neutral, they all try to move forward. We're gonna have to rectify that, but for the moment it goes down the road. Well guys, I did not think that this fix was gonna work. As you may recall, I used a needle nose pliers to fold the top core over, but right here you can see he's got lots of pressure and there's some temperature in it too. So, I mean, I don't know if I'd drive it to California tomorrow, but hey, it is holding. That's kind of cool. What are the odds this is the first video without an antifreeze leak? One of the issues that I mentioned that is not going to get solved this time is this massive rust issue, as it shakes the whole quarter panel when you shut the door. As you can see here, the door jamb is not attached to this car very well at all. And despite the fact that you could throw your cat straight through that quarter panel, it actually does have a pretty solid floor in it. I mean, this is all together there. So, something I figured I might try to just make the stance a little bit better on this car is to remove this old hot dog bun. It's probably not going to help out much, but it'll make me feel better anyways. Well, hot dang. They must have used a forklift to cause that much damage. I don't think you could possibly do that with a jump in it. Man, like, that is a total hot dog bun. And guys, check out this awesome interior we got going on here. We have got a headliner that we have patched back together with some zip ties, so that's awful professional right there. We also got, extra carburetors and the like sitting there. You got your ignition hooked up right here to a little key switch. I mean, what more can you possibly need than all of that? We're going to take this Torino on its inaugural drive down the road, but first you need the Big Lebowski yellow tint sunglasses, of course, with the Torino. brakes work. I don't know how Goodman wore these for an entire movie. These things are totally ridiculous. This is Jason Deal signing off, reminding you not to worry about the total state of your vehicle. Just get it going and have a good time with it. If you like this, you may enjoy content like this Ford and that Ford. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time, Godspeed.